I don't know. Yeah, that's fine. That's better.
Is that okay, or you like this one better?
It's good also. It doesn't matter.
Whichever one, as long as because when it's here, it's very annoying.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're live. Yeah.
Yes, we are.
We're good.
We're
Welcome back,
alive.
everyone. I hope you had a wonderful week, and we're moving on. It's been 3 weeks since we've got together to learn the Rambam in Mora Nevuchim. Welcome everyone that's joining us online, wherever you are in the world. Listening, I found the video very blurry here. Maybe let's go back to about this. Is that better?
That's
Maybe
fine.
that's better.
That's good. That's good.
That's okay. Okay. Jim was worried about being cut off for a little bit. Sorry, Jim. We love you. You're a handsome guy. You're a handsome guy. We want your entire face to be shown.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So before we begin, I told you guys that I wanted to bring something up today, and I want your thoughts about it because this is what I noticed. Obviously, a lot going on in the world, but today in the world of Catholicism, a new pope was appointed. Right, they got the whole white smoke action coming out of the Vatican, and there you have, everyone's excited. All Catholics are excited, and who their new leader is going to be. And I don't know which pope this is, like the 260th something pope or something like that, some number like that. So scrolling through my Twitter feed, and then it comes up, maybe because someone was talking about it, so it picks up what you're saying, and then I see this post from the Vatican News. Okay, the Vatican News, and so this whole time I'm hearing when throughout the last couple of days on who everyone's giving their prediction. Like the Stanley Cup love deal, like who's going to win the Stanley Cup is who's going to be the next pope for the Catholics, for the church, and everyone's giving their names. Like, I think it's going to be this one. This one is the front runner to win. I'm like elections almost. Like, who's going to be the guy? And it's an incredible process. I even, my cousin, I won't say his name online, but maybe he doesn't want me to mention, but coming back from a trip from Rome, I saw this movie called Conclave. I don't know if you've seen Conclave, which basically depicts on what goes on in the Sistine Chapel, how they're choosing the Pope, and the politics involved in it. It's fascinating because it's not so just cut and dry, right? There's a lot going on behind the scenes, and everyone's trying to pull their own weight and there's a lot of candidates, and you need 2/3 to vote anyway. So everyone's giving their thing, and you hear this name come up. This is the front runner. This is the front runner. Anyways, so this tweet by Vatican News writes in English the announcement or the translation of what the announcer, the guy proclaiming the new pope is saying. He's saying it in Latin, okay, or maybe it's Italian. It sounds like Latin to me, and the translation is there. By Lord da 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 da. We have a pope. Okay, and then he announced the name. He announced the name of this guy, this new pope. I forget his name already. He's an American guy. You remember his name?
Not offhand.
Frederick.
I remember who he looks like, Frederick, but not his name.
A young guy named Frederick. Anyways, I'm telling you, I'm expecting to hear like cheers beyond. Right? This is a monumental moment. Like, how many times you get to see, if you're a Catholic, how many times you get to see a new pope or the announcement and proclamation of a new pope. The guy mentions the name that nobody had on their list. It was like the upset, like the 8th seed winning the Stanley Cup that no one predicted, and everybody lost their money on their vote, on their their playoff pool. Like this, he announces his name, and I'm telling you, if you just heard this video, you hear boos. It's like I was hearing total dissatisfaction among almost everyone in the crowd. There was no cheering. They showed a picture of the crowd. You saw a few people clapping their hands. I don't know if people were expecting the Italian guy. I think that was the front runner. And it made me wonder, here you have a guy, you're a believer in Christianity, you're a believer in Catholicism, and I know there's different types of Christianity, so I'm not talking about that. But okay, the Roman Catholic Church, that this is your leader. This is the person who now represents your religion and is going to guide the world to however he sees fit. And you have faith in this, right? That's part of believing, is you have faith in the process and the way it's done and how he's going to be representative. And it's just total discontent. It's not, there's no thrill.
Unusual, right? You don't see that.
It's very unusual. Very unusual.
Yeah.
And I think lehavdil, when a chief rabbi is appointed, right? And again, I don't think in any way they are. I'm just trying to make some sort of similar comparison, but I don't think they're comparable at all. But when a chief rabbi is appointed, then the excitement. Now, obviously, there's still elections for the chief rabbi, and but there's excitement. When Rav Ovadia became chief rabbi of Tel Aviv, forget about Israel, chief of Tel Aviv, the ceremony. And the cheering, and they're like, this is it. This is huge. And I didn't see that today. I didn't see, and I don't know anything about this guy. I don't know anything about this Pope. I don't know what his stance is on Israel and the Middle East. And I'm hoping that he's better than the last one. But I don't know. I didn't know what to make of it. And maybe it's someone that they're just not familiar with. But what I'm feeling is like, you have faith in this way of life. You have faith in this person. And where's the excitement? Where's the
perhaps I know nothing about the process, nothing about these popes, but perhaps to me it sounds like they think that it was corrupt, completely corrupt, that he's probably undeserving to be pope. And usually don't see that. Like, the one thing I know is usually when they appoint or whatever, they vote in a pope, there's a lot of excitement, a lot of cheer, a lot of fun.
You're right, exactly.
So the fact that you're saying this is very strange. It's strange. It's like, you never know. Like, don't be surprised if you see, like,
well, he's the first American pope, so maybe that caught everybody off guard.
Trump's for sure involved.
100%
Trump's involved in this.
Effect.
There's no question. Like a 40-year-old outsider. But anyway, I think it's very difficult to compare when there's a chief rabbi chosen, because the chief rabbis are all very well known. There isn't that many, like there are cardinals or bishops and so on. So it's a different feel. But the last three or four popes have been elderly. 2 ago was very charismatic, and he was very charismatic, the Polish one, and many people were cheering for him to begin with. The one after that, I think, took over because this one got sick, and he was also very elderly and very well known. He worked in the Vatican for many years before he became pope, and this last one was very well liked because he came from the Jesuit strand of Catholicism, which is about humility and poverty, which stands, everybody in Italy, Rome, everybody in Europe was very much against the Vatican for many years because of their pomp and wealth. While they talk about poverty and so on, they used to live among gold and pomp and wealth. And then you have this pope that came in last, and he was Jesuit. Jesuits are the group of Catholics that believe in poverty and humility. So the first thing he did was he imposed this. Everybody knew this. He was Argentinian. He was also Latin. He was 75 years old, and he was charismatic. This guy looks like he came out of Trump's cabinet. You know what I mean? He looks like a businessman. He's young. He doesn't look like a pope, right? And he took everyone off guard. So everyone's kind of holding their breath. Like what between you and me, I don't like. So what influence do they have? Do you feel they have a major influence on world politics? I don't.
I don't know. It's hard to say. They certainly did once upon a time. We know historically popes had a lot of say, and popes were generally not kind to Jewish people.
Yeah, of course.
Nowadays, it's almost like the Queen of England, right, or the King of England.
Correct.
It's more of a significant figure, but again, it's officially the head of your religion. We don't have something like that. We don't have the head of the religion. I guess the closest thing that we could have had was maybe the Kohen Gadol. Like that's the only thing that we can somewhat compare to a representative that, literally called a high priest. But whoever was the high priest, unless, like Warren said, right, there was a time where the Kohen Gadol appointment was corrupt, right?
100%. Yeah, and it's in the Tanakh.
Yeah, and so we don't know what the reaction is, but it was done through, it was lineage until the corruption came. So it's like, okay, the son of Aaron was Elazar, and then he became Kohen Gadol, and so on and so forth. But there must have been an excitement, unless maybe I'm wrong. Maybe no. Even Jews had some sort of dissatisfaction with their leaders, and I'm sure there were times where they weren't so happy. But I don't know. It's I feel like you're waiting for something so long, and here comes the new guy who's going to be with you, and I just didn't see it. I wish there'd be a way I could show you that video. I probably can, but I'm not going to test it out now because I don't want to ruin the stream. But I wanted to bring that up. Anyways,
let's see if somehow we can tie this into the Mora Nivukhin.
Let's try to more.
We see something in Mora Nivukhin that.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll do it. Anyways, whoever, of course we join the world and wishing him haslacha, and hopefully he is kind to the Jewish people and to Israel, and recognizes and sees the truth that a lot of people still today fail to see, and because there were popes that were good and kind and saw the Jewish case and the Jewish need, and placed it at the forefront as a priority. So hopefully that will happen in this case. Okay, that was my little introduction. Sorry, it took about 12 minutes, but we are studying chapter 3 of the Guide of the Perplexed. We're on page 26 in this book, and the way it goes is we just read and we discuss, and we turn over the holy words of the Rambam. The chapters seem to be getting shorter, so I don't know if that's a good thing or not a good thing, but we'll take it as it comes. So chapter 3. It is thought that in the Hebrew language, the meanings of the word temunah and tavnit are identical. So temunah is a figure, and tavnit is a shape. This is not the case. For tavnit is a term deriving from the verb bano, to build, and it signifies the build and aspect of a thing. I mean to say its shape. For instance, it's being a square, a circle, a triangle, or some other shape. Accordingly, it says v'tavnit hamishkan v'et kol kelav. Right, so the shape of the tabernacle, the shape of its vessels. And it says, according to the shape which you was shown upon the mountain, the shape of any bird, the shape of the hand, the shape of the porch, different psukim. In all these passages, the word means shape. For this reason, the Hebrew language does not use this word with reference to attributes that apply in any way to the deity. As for the term figure, that's temunah, it is used amphibously in 3 different senses. It is used to designate the form of a thing outside the mind that is apprehended by the senses. I mean the shape and configuration of the thing. What does it mean outside the mind?
External, outside the mind. It's not. You're not thinking of it. You're seeing. I think he means physical, similar to the first definition of tavnit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think.
Thus it says.
I thought it could also be meaning imagination. Imagination could be what he's referring to, because you're not thinking of something tangible. You're something which you're imagining, but also outside the mind can mean without your senses, right? Without your five senses that you can feel, touch, smell, and so on. So it could be either one.
Okay. Thus it says, and make you a graven image, the figure of any, and so on, and you saw no figure. It's also used to designate the imaginary form of an individual object existing in the imagination after the object of which it is the form is no longer manifest to the senses.
Okay, so then we have to understand that sentence a bit better.
So before you move on, I have a question. What's the word in the Tanakh where it says the site number 8, for ye saw no figure? What's the Hebrew word for figure that they use there?
Temuna.
Yeah, so that, all right. That to me is a little confusing, because if he's saying that when it's talking about an image of something that's not physical, the word tavnit is used, right? So it should be saying, for you saw no physical image. So it should be the word tavnit. But the fact that it's temuna is odd, because they may have seen a figure. They may have seen, like it says that they saw the sounds. I remember distinctly that when they talk about, it says that they saw the sound of the shofar, and it's a big thing. Rashi brings it up. And how do you see sound? So obviously there was something tangible taking place that was not tavnit. It was temuna. It was something that was an image of something, but it's not tangible.
So something I read a few years ago.
That's why it's kind of odd, no, that they're using the word temuna.
I think his name is Rabbi Zamir. He's got a book on science. It's a famous red book. You probably know the ones that I'm talking. I have it. And he covers a lot of topics. And one of them, he covers Matan Torah. During the Matan Torah, they also say something similar, Jimmy, that they saw the words. That they saw the words.
Well, they saw the sounds, not the words.
They saw the sounds, yeah. Same kind of an idea you were saying. So right.
Yeah.
And it's a very strange thing to say and to understand. So he brings, because he's a scientist, he says it's not, back then, 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, we couldn't understand it. But now we can understand it, because an ultrasound machine, it's exactly what it does. An ultrasound machine gives you an image from sound waves. So if they heard something, it's possible that they saw like an ultrasound, that they actually saw like a big screen, whatever they were seeing. It produced some kind of an image, that the sound produced some kind of an image, just like an ultrasound machine does.
What's the name of the rabbi that you mentioned that said this?
I think it's Zamir.
Cohen. His last name is Cohen, right?
Zamir Cohen. Yeah, he has a book on
No. I know exactly the book, and he says something even crazier. The ultrasound machine, when it says the shapes of the words that are said in the Aseret HaDibrot, the ultrasound machine shows the shapes of the sound is the shape of the letters. That's crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
That's crazy. This book is incredible.
It is incredible.
But again, let's take a step back, and what we're doing here, we went right in, but what we're doing here is we're dealing with the challenge that Rambam is dealing with, the challenge that people are confused by the fact that it says God said, "Let us make man in our image," and so you would think that their God has a physical stature, or he's physical in some way, and Rambam is saying absolutely not, because when it says, "Let us make man in in our image, or let's make man in the image of Hashem, it's talking about a different type of image, not a physical image, but a type of intellectual apprehension image. An image of the ability to tell good and bad is what we did last week. So now we're saying that the word, if it were to say the word tavnit, that would mean physical. If it were to say the word timunah, right, it's referring to an image that's not physical.
Well, he's saying three. We just started. He's saying there are three different ways of using the word. We read the first one, which is, I'm not sure. You're saying one thing, I'm saying another, but I'm rereading what it says. To me, it seems like the first way of understanding it is used to designate the form of a thing outside the mind that is apprehended by the senses.
Okay.
So apprehended by the senses is something physical. And then he says, I mean the shape and configuration of the thing. That description sounds very much like the Tavnit description, right? And thus it says, and he gives a pasuk, and make you a graven image, the figure of any, and so on. So I'm not sure, but to me it sounds like that's.
Is that? Hang on a second. Is that clear? Can you guys give me an example of something that you cannot grasp with your mind, but you can grasp with your senses? Sight, smell, hearing, touch, taste. What can you not grasp with your mind that you can grasp with your senses? An example.
I don't know, but for one thing,
not even Hashem. Because Hashem, I can't grasp him with my mind, and I certainly can't grasp him with my senses. So he doesn't fit in their category. So how does
I'm
this?
not sure what he means from the outset. Outside the mind. That's a vague thing for me. What is outside the mind?
That's what I asked originally.
It could be outside of the imagination. It's something that you can't even imagine.
But then he says that it's apprehended by the senses.
You can't. It's no such thing. How can that be?
And then he says the shape and configuration of the thing. As he's
if you think about it, okay, so let's think of somebody who's blind. So somebody who's blind can't see the thing, but he can apprehend it through touch or smell or taste or whatnot, right? But if you can't apprehend it with your mind, you certainly can't apprehend it with your senses, because even your senses won't tell you what it is you're apprehending. Your mind can't grasp it. So this part I'm finding a little confusing.
So let's read the second. Maybe this.
Let's move forward. Let's see if it clarifies.
Let's read that very long sentence that I couldn't really understand. Let's just read it slowly. Right after.
It is also used to designate the imaginary form of an individual object existing in the imagination after the object of which it is the form is no longer manifest to the senses.
So that sounds
see it. Okay, no, hang on. You can't see it, touch it, feel it, but your mind grasps it.
Right.
That's something that makes sense. That's Hashem.
So that's more imaginary. It's in your head.
Yes.
In the first case, it's outside of the head. This is in your head. Okay. Let's see what the third one is.
Yes, but let's face it. Let's face it. We cannot, when we think of Hashem, right? When we're kids, Warren, you brought this up, and I've been thinking a lot about this because it's tough. This is not easy stuff, because at some point you're praying. When you're praying, and you understand that you're praying to this incredible entity, like when you read the Nishmat Kol Chai and you read the words, you're praying to this entity, right? This grand, awesome entity, right? You have to somehow imagine something, right? Maybe that something is, you're so good at what the Torah is telling you to do that something is nothing, right? That you're able to go to that level, which in itself is mind-boggling, right? But what exactly, when you're thinking about Hashem, what exactly is your imagination grasping? So what is it? So what is at some point the Torah is telling you, let's make man in our image. Okay. And we've already established in 2 paragraphs with 2 chapters that image is referring to intellectual capacity, ability to tell right and wrong, the ability to grasp intelligence. That's the difference between us and animals. I'm sure God is a lot more than that, but this is what Rambam is telling us, right? So having said that, what does Rambam want us? That's the thing. The thing here, he's telling us, don't think he's physical, but do think this. And this is where I think we need to go with this whole thing. You see, a lot of people come to me, and I myself, with this problem or trouble of, we kind of all have this idea of what Hashem is. And there's a concern that perhaps what our imagination is concocting in our minds is wrong or is asur. And I think that's what Rambam is trying to get to. At some point, he's going to tell you, well, you can't do this. You cannot think Hashem's physical, okay? But at some point, we have to lead to, but what can we think Hashem is, right? Because at the end of the day, it's very dangerous also to say he's nothing that we can grasp. If he's nothing that we can grasp, people are going to have a very difficult time connecting to it when they pray, when they need to ask Hashem to speak to him. That's what the Hasidim did so well, what the Chabad movement did so well. What they were able to do is they were able not to humanize God, but they were able to bring God down and become relatable to humans, so humans can think of him as something that's kind and listening to them. Do you understand? So this is what we're doing, Rabbi and Warren, is very important, because this is a major crisis and issue right now. I'm finding a lot of people have come up to me. A lot more people are actually watching the podcast than I thought. That's why I'm bringing this up, because it's been brought up to me several times. So there's apparently like 7 people now that are. But anyway, my point is that this is an issue that a lot of people are bringing up, and that is, okay, we get it. We understand. Mora Nivouchim is telling you God does not have any physical, and he don't think that's what he is. But at some point, we need someone to tell us, okay, but what is he? And I know Ramchal says also, we'll never understand it. It's not a good enough answer in today's times.
Mm-hmm. I'm not 100% sure you could apply to what you're saying here, but I think here is just the point of all these chapters is one word can mean different things, and if you apply that word, if you plug in that word in a pasuk, it changes the whole meaning of the pasuk, and don't learn it this way. So right now he's trying to teach that this word temunah can be physical, can be imaginary, and now we're going to see what the third thing is. And maybe and then I just read a little bit ahead now. He doesn't give an example, but usually he gives examples of it. I know he's giving pesukim, but usually he has a point to all this, which is what you're trying to do, Jimmy. Usually he has a point of why is he saying that this word temunah has 3 different, very different meanings. Can mean 3 different, and usually he gives it. There's a reason why he's bringing this up, but I don't think he is right now. But maybe he will after.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's move forward, because right now I'm a little puzzled.
The first one seems to be physical. Second, imaginary, and let's see what it.
Thus it says, in thoughts from the visions of the night, and so on. The conclusion of the dictum being, it stood still, but I could not discern the appearance thereof. A figure was before mine eyes. He means a phantasm of the imagination that is before my eyes while in sleep.
Right.
Because that's the second one. The term is also used to designate the true notion grasped by the intellect. It is with a view to this third meaning that the word figure is used with reference to God.
Okay, here's this point. Sorry, I didn't read that. Yeah.
May he be exalted. Thus it says, and the figure of Hashem shall he look upon. The meaning and interpretation of this verse are, he grasps the truth of God. Which can only be done
what does it mean when it says, and the figure of the Lord shall he look upon? We know it cannot mean the physical figure, but what is he looking upon? I guess the same question we
Well,
have.
he
when-
answers it. He
Of course,
says,
so what's the answer? What are you telling me the
"Truth
answer
of
is?
God."
intellectual, the grasp by the intellect.
No.
The meaning
again,
No. He's grasping the truth of God.
The truth
I'm
of
sorry?
God.
The truth of God. That's what he said in the end.
He tells us.
What does that mean? Like, what does that mean? To grasp the truth of God means to see the figure of God? Is that what he's saying?
No.
What's he
Intellectually.
saying? What does it mean?
To grasp it intellectually. To grasp his ways intellectually, not to see it in a vision, not to imagine it, which are the other two meanings. To
Intellectually,
So let's say
believe
this.
that
Okay.
that Hashem is emet, and what he does, the world is emet, and he runs it through. Right? That's what I think.
And maybe the specific attributes that Hashem himself tells us about himself, that we should accept those as truths, and that's how we should grasp him. Grasp him as an imageless or physical-less entity that we know this about.
What's the
And by
concept?
having and that package is itself an image. See what I'm saying? It's not a physical image, it's an intellectual image.
What's the context of this pasuk? Do you know offhand, Rabbi? Who's he speaking about? Is it Moshe? Is it,
Let's open up the Tanakh.
yeah.
It's like it's
Maybe that'll help us because
in Parashat Shalach, it looks like. It says Numbers 12:8. So let's see. Keep on forgetting to bring my Tanakh here ready. Okay, here we go. So the context is that Miriam and Aaron speak against Moshe, the Lashon Hara, and God replies that Moshe is not like everybody else. Lo chen avdi Moshe, pe el pe adaber bo. I speak to him mouth to mouth. Umar'e velo bechidot, in a clear vision and not in riddles. Utmunat Adonai yabit.
What's Yabit? Yabit means what?
He shall gaze. At the image of Hashem does he gaze.
Okay, so now it makes sense.
And by the way,
So now
chapter 4.
Yeah.
Look ahead.
yeah.
Look at the two words he's
Yes, makes sense.
deciphering. Ra'o and Habit. Right? So clearly that's
So
probably
again, so he just the last sentence you said was Timunat Hashem.
Utmunat Adonai yabit.
Perfect.
Article translates at the image of Hashem does
No,
he
yeah, but that makes sense because that's exactly what Rambam is saying. That when the word Timuna is used, it's not a shape, it's not a tabnit.
No, it could be, but in this case, it's not.
No, that's not what Rambam is saying.
Yeah, in this case, he said you can use it in 3 different ways. But
The word Timuna.
yeah, of course, that's the whole paragraph.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
The figure of Hashem you shall look upon.
It's just that people make a mistake and think that they can read this pasuk and think
Yes.
it's talking about a physical shape or imagining shape. No, he's saying no. It's and Moshe really understood Hashem. He understood his essence intellectually. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Good. Move on.
Yeah.
Chapter 4. Know that there are 3 words to see, to look at, and to vision are applied to the sight of the eye, and that all 3 of them are also used figuratively to denote the grasp of the intellect. So to see is ra'o, to look at is habit in the aforementioned pasuk, and lachazot or chazo. All these 3 words are used figuratively to denote the grasp of the intellect. As for the verb to see, this is generally admitted by the multitude. The pasuk says, "Vayar ve'ine be'er basadeh," and he saw, and behold, there is a well in the field.
So this is. So he's saying
This refers to the sight of the eye.
to the sight of the eye.
That's what he says next.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Got it. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The context of this is
got it. This is when I think when Moshe sees the well.
no.
No?
This is this is Yaakov.
In Shemot.
No, it's in Genesis. It's in Bereshit.
Yeah, but the citation. Where are we now? It's the
No,
citation.
it's the second number one.
Okay, got it.
It's the second number one.
Yeah, Genesis. Sorry, I saw the first number one.
All right. So this is reference to sight.
Yeah.
But it also says, my heart has seen much of the wisdom and knowledge.
You can't see wisdom and knowledge, so
Can't
that's
see wisdom
a
and
great
knowledge.
example.
And this refers to intellectual apprehension. Every mention of seeing, when referring to God, has this figurative meaning. As when the pasuk says, I saw Hashem, and Hashem became seen to him. God saw that it was good. Okay, I beseech you, let me see your glory. And they saw the God of Israel. All of these psukim that's talking about seeing God, and God became seen. All this refers to intellectual apprehension and in no way to the eye seeing, as the eye can only apprehend a body, one that is placed in some direction, and in addition with some of the accidents of the body, which is the coloring, the body's coloring, shape, and so forth. Similarly, God does not apprehend by means of an instrument, as will be explained later. Good?
Yeah.
Straight up.
In the same way,
I still don't know what Hashem looks like, but
neither do I. Don't worry.
No. I know, but I don't want to make light of it. But I need to point out that this is something a theme that we're going to need to tackle by the end of this book, and that is when someone is praying, what are they praying to, right? And if they're praying to just an energy, it's hard for them to connect. And if they're praying to something that the Hasidim and so on say, which is like a father, a tati, the way they call Shem, who's there and is kind and wants, then you pray better. So what's the perception that we are supposed to have? There's got to be, if it's an emet, if Hashem is emet, there is a truth to what he is or how we should apprehend him. And right now, if you look at different groups of Orthodox Jewish organizations, there are different ways to apprehend the image of Hashem. And I think we'll leave it aside for now, but this is a recurring theme that I keep having in discussions with people.
But I think you mentioned, Jimmy, just very quickly, I think you mentioned it to us previously that you had, I think it was when you were learning with Rabbi Ozio,
yes,
that you were learning a piece about this, and that he said, ideally, you want to think nothing. You want to think nothing, right?
I got reamed. Yeah, I know. And then that worst comes to worst, you can think of the 4 letters, right?
Right.
So I got reamed by the 7 people that watch our podcast, and I was told I can't feel that there is a sensitivity listening to me with 4 letters. I need to feel that there's something that loves me, something that cares for me. So I said, but it's not to say that that thing doesn't love you. You just can't picture it physically, right?
Picturing is the question,
right? And this is, I think, the way we got to go in this direction, where we got to use what the Rambam's doing so that it can be applied in today's world. And today's world is all about people go to therapy, they have problems, they have real problems, and so they turn to Hashem, they turn to God.
Right.
It's not just about the intellectual gymnastics of learning these sefers, right? It's how people can apply them in their day-to-day. So Rambam is brilliant. He's telling you, don't think Hashem is a man in the sky who's going to give you candies if you're good and is going to strike you with lightning if you're bad. So he's not that, but he's this, and you can relate to him, and he is listening to every word, and so on and so forth.
But the recurring theme so far what the Rambam saying is the way you relate to Hashem. We just learned it now. I think we learned it last some of the time before. Is intellectually.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that. So is that the goal? Is that
seems so far? He says, "Don't do it. Don't do
Well,
it."
and it seems to be that that's the way, because Moshe Rabbeinu is the example that he's using, right? Like, here you are, you're trashing my messenger, Aaron and Miriam, all right, and criticizing him. And okay, I'll take back the word trashing because I don't think that was accurate, but okay, on their own level, it was lashon hara, and he's saying, what are you talking about? Utmunat Hashem yabit, right? He intellectually grasps my truth, my understand, who am I, and therefore, and that is the ultimate. There's nothing more than that.
Okay.
So,
but now,
should that be our goal? Is that our goal?
Seems to be.
So no. So then, my question to you, based on your question, is: I go to these places in let's say I go to Tiberias in Eretz Israel, and I go to Rabbi Meir's, and I see these incredible older women who are lighting candles and are praying to, hopefully, Hashem, Leilui Nishmat Rabbi Meir. They're not praying to Rabbi Meir, I hope. And you see them, and there's no way they're connecting to Hashem through intellectual capacity. There's no way. And they're feeling Hashem, not
You're right.
in an intellectual way.
Yeah, I agree with you, but they're also not Moshe Rabbeinu, right? So I think it takes steps to get there. I think Utmunat Hashem Yabit is the highest level to aim for. And again, people connect with Hashem in different ways. As some of it is through just meditation. Some people it's through tzedakah. Some people it's through just looking at the miracles that happen to their lives. They're not connecting with him intellectually. If they're just recognizing his greatness. Okay, it's a step. It's something. And I think that part of life is building yourself and training yourself to look at Mesilat Yesharim. That's exactly what it is, right? The whole book of Mesilat Yesharim, which we started talking about before we went live tonight, is that whole idea of this ladder that of Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair that starts from Zeirut and then goes Zerizut, and then eventually at Chasidut, and then you're at Nekiyut, and then you're at Anava, and then you're at Yata. Like there's a process here. You're not born with Utmunat Hashem Yabit, but eventually you get to a level of Yirat Shamayim and Kedushat that are so high and they're so profound and so elevated.
A lot of those women also they just never learned. They don't know. That's not even in the world. So I think them connecting emotionally is still superior to connecting through an image.
You
know what I mean? It's still superior.
So I think that was very well said. I think you said that very well, Rabbi, in the sense that sometimes a person grasps Hashem by seeing a sunset, by seeing the beauty of Hashem. When a person is given the talent of art, and it's amazing. You watch the greatest soccer players in the world. They know that they're given a gift for free. They didn't work. I mean, they work hard at it, but they know they've been given a talent from somewhere. And when they score a goal, the first thing they do is they point up, right? I always find that amazing, right? But what is incredible is that this is the way I see it. I see it that when you really grasp Hashem, you can get there in different ways, like you said. And it comes down to Chokhmah, Bina, and Da'at, right? So what are the three? I'm going to try and do this quick. What are the three Chokhmah, Bina, and Da'at? I use the example of a bicycle, right? So if I know how to write a book, I can write a book. I can understand how to ride a bike, even though I've never ridden a bike, right? That's Chokhmah. I understand how to ride a bike. Bina is I've gotten the understanding to the point where I can write a book about how to ride a bike, but I still haven't ridden a bike, right? That is I can get on a bike and I can ride it without thinking. The same example you can give with driving stick shift, right? The first few times you drive stick shift, manual, you got to think about your left leg, your right leg, but once you're doing it, you're not even thinking of it, it's part of you. So I think Rabbi Ovadia Yosef or of Moshe Feinstein reach these levels, Moshe Rabbeinu reach these levels, because they go through those three levels where it's that, when it's inside of you, and you feel Hashem inside. You don't even need to think about it's not even logic anymore. It's a feeling, it's an intuition, right? So they get there with their intellect. But I think these women that we see, these people that have emunah pshuta, right? And they talk to Hashem. I see some people when they daven, when they daven, even in the my minyan, when they're davening tefillah, the way they pray, it's fascinating. I mean, you see them. It's like it's more than if there's a person in front of them, right? So I say that they reached that not necessarily through the stages of intellect. They hit that gift of sensing Hashem in their intuition through other ways. It could have been that their neshama already had a head start. It could have been that they sense Hashem, but it's not intellectual. It's an intuition that they're born with. And it's a big blessing. It's a big bracha to have that. I'm just saying that there are many. Somebody once told me there are many gates to redemption. There are many ways to get there, and it's not necessarily through learning. That's why Breslev, the whole concept of Breslev, the whole concept of Hasidism was, how do I get the masses to come close to Hashem? They don't have time or the ability to learn.
Yeah.
Okay. Having said that, I'll let you guys continue. But it's a short chapter, but there's a lot of meat on that bone.
Okay, so that was Ra'ol, to see. In the same way, the word to look at, which is habit, which is the word that was used in the context of Moshe, is applied to the act of turning the eye toward a thing. Look not behind thee. But his wife looked back from behind him. That's obviously in the story of Sodom and Lot's wife. And if one looked unto the hand, the word is also used figuratively to designate the mind's turning and directing itself to the contemplation of a thing until it grasps it. Thus it says, he has not looked, lo hibit aven beYaakov, he has not looked in iniquity in Jacob. Mm-hmm. For iniquity is not seen by the eye. It's like something that's turned and focused towards. Similarly, it says, and they looked after Moshe, of which the sages said that they too have this figurative meaning, as they inform us that the Israelites watched his actions and words and scrutinized them. Vehibitu achare Moshe, that's the pasuk. The word likewise has this meaning when it says, look now toward heaven, for this was in a prophetic vision. Every mention of looking when referring to God is in this figurative sense. Thus, to look upon God, and the figure of God shall he look upon, and thou canst not look on mischief. Okay. And lastly, the word lachazot, to vision, is likewise used to designate the eyes seeing. Thus, let our eyes vision Zion. It has been applied figuratively to the apprehension of the heart. So the pasuk says, which he visioned concerning Judah and Jerusalem. Or the word came to Hashem, the word of Hashem came to Abraham, b'machazeh, in a vision. The word is used in the same figurative sense when it said, and they visioned God. Know this.
Yeah. These first few this first section of the book is the easiest part by far, because it's not so hard to comprehend. It's just sometimes the sentences are hard to decipher what he's trying to tell you, but the points are clear, right?
Yeah.
The point is very clear. People can misuse a word, and most of these words can be used in different ways, and what we learned today could be used literally or can be used figuratively or intellectually. And the overall rule that anytime it refers to Hashem, it's always figuratively, and that makes sense.
Yeah, and the first 4 chapters, that's what he did. He made it very clear that wherever it says anything about Hashem, it's not physical.
Yeah,
that's the clear message out of the 4 chapters.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Okay, everyone. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on. and we'll hope to see you next time. To all our listeners, thank you for joining. Shabbat Shalom. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you soon.
Shabbat Shalom.